What would you do if your 38 was in this spin? Would you become panicky and hit the silk? Or would you have the know-how for positive spin recovery? The old rule of throttling back and pushing both rudder and stick forward together is not the way to bring a 38 out of a spin. As a result of an extensive test program, including 27 spins, some of which you are about to see, it was found that you must wait for at least a half a turn between kicking the rudder and moving the control column forward. In other words, when the spin starts, cut the throttles, retract any extended flaps, and kick full rudder, which decreases your rate of rotation. Allow a minimum of half a turn to slow down. Then move the control column forward towards the neutral position. This stops the spin, leaving you in a steep nose-down attitude from which recovery is a cinch. Here is Herman Salmon, nicknamed Fish, Lockheed Engineering test pilot, and the airplane he used in gathering the spin data.
How'd you go, Fish?
Buffeted quite a bit and I got thrown around some. But waiting for a half a turn between kicking the rudder and moving the control column forward is sure the way to bring this baby out of a spin.
Just exactly what procedure did you use for recovery?
Well, in a spin the stick would be back and the rudder hard over like this. Then, first I cut the throttles and kicked the rudder hard against the spin. Wait for at least half a turn before moving the control column forward towards a neutral position. When I've got about 150 to 200 miles per hour, I ease back on the stick and make my pull-out, remembering to be careful not to pull out too sharply because I might stall and spin the other way.
Hold that control column where it is a second, Fish, and tell us what that switch on the wheel is for.
This is a switch which turns on the cameras and other test equipment when I begin a spin. They continuously record my attitude, altitude, and airspeed, as well as the exact position of my control surfaces and the amount of pressure I apply at every instant throughout the spin.
The installation of these automatic recorders makes it necessary to remove the guns. However, to ensure proper CG, ballast is supplemented in the nose. By changing this ballast, the airplane was spun under all CG conditions from 27% forward all the way back to 32% gear up, which is the rearward limit. Fish will go into this next spin with power on. During the first two turns, you will see that the nose is alternately pointed steeply down and then up, close to or above the horizon. This oscillation up and down may give the impression that the airplane is in a flat spin. However, during the third turn, these oscillations dampen out. And from the fourth turn on, the attitude of the airplane is constant in a fairly steep nose-down position. Regardless of whether you enter the spin with power on or off, CG forward or rearward, on single engine or in normal flight, gear up or down, the turns become quite regular after the fourth one. And you can figure that you will lose about 1,000 feet for each complete turn.
This is 354 to the ground. I'm up here at 20,000 feet, directly overhead. Ready for power on spin. Camera switch on. Almost stalled. 100 miles per hour. 95. 90. Here she goes. One turn, power off. Two turns, oscillating quite a bit. Three turns, oscillations dampening out. Four turns, spin steady, nose down. Five turns, steady. Six turns, steady. Full opposite rudder. Half a turn. Stick forward and out in a turn. Held it for 6 turns and 1 turn for recovery.
Let's get a different angle on this next spin. which fish will make with maneuvering flaps extended, going into it from a climbing turn. During the second turn, he will start the flaps up, because in a previous spin, we found that leaving them down delayed recovery by about one turn.
I'm going into this one out of a climbing left turn, with maneuvering flaps out. Then about the second turn in the spin, I will start them coming up. Okay, camera switch on. Power off. Here we go with flaps out. One turn. Two turns, starting flaps up. Three turns, normal. Four turns, steady. Five turns, flaps are up. Kick opposite rudder, and I'm out in one turn. Speed about 120 when spin stop. I'm up here again at 20,000 feet. This time I'll release the controls on the fourth turn and see what happens. Slowing up. Power back. 100 miles per hour. 95. 90. Here we go. One turn. Two turns, nose up and down. Three turns, getting steady. Four turns, releasing controls. Five turns, controls haven't moved. Six turns, steady. Seven turns, steady. Eight turns, kick the rudder against the spin. Stick forward. I'm out in the turn. Airspeed 150.
The question of spin recovery on single engine often comes up. In this next spin, fish will go into it with power on one engine. Notice how rapidly he recovers.
Slowing up now. Here goes 30 inches on the right engine, left engine idling. Stalling at 100. Here we go. One turn, very fast. Two turns, cut back power. Come out by itself. I didn't even use the rudder that time. Ship recovered itself when I cut back the power. That completes the spin test. This is Army 354 south of the field requesting landing instructions.
From these tests, you can see that the 38 spins normally and recovery is easy and rapid. However, you must remember to wait at least half a turn between kicking rudder and moving the control column.
Out in a P-38, your flight leader will take you on a piggyback demonstration flight. Before you take off as a passenger, your flight leader will instruct you on the recommended piggyback bailout procedure. Rehearse with him the procedure you will use. Know before takeoff exactly what you will do if an emergency arises in the air that makes it necessary for you and the pilot to bail out. Your size will determine who bails out first, you or your flight leader. The bailout technique for a large passenger is different from the one recommended for a small passenger. Your copy of the pilot training manual for the P-38 tells you which technique you are to use. In what category do you fall, small or large? A sure way to find out is make the test, the same ground test you will see performed in this film. As a piggyback passenger, you wear a back-type parachute, either the B-8 or the new B-10. Time of an actual bailout emergency, the pilot slows the speed of the airplane as much as possible and trims for level flight. The actual bailout takes about 4 seconds. With the small passenger and the pilot in the cockpit, their parachute harnesses and safety belts properly fastened, the canopy securely locked, and both side windows up. They are now ready to practice the recommended bailout procedure for a small passenger. If you are small, you leave the airplane before the pilot. Stay down as low as possible, go out the side, pressing close to the wing, and slide off the trailing edge head first.